welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. WHO's Global Center for Traditional Medicine launched in India's Gujarat state. Sri Lanka expands cabinet amid economic crisis protests. And devotees pull chariots to mark celestial wedding of gods in southern India. Let's begin the show. India has a rich history of traditional system of medicine which is now gaining global recognition. Recently, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the first of its kind World Health Organization's Global Center for Traditional Medicine in the country's western city of Jamnagar. The inaugural ceremony occurred in the presence of WHO Chief and Mauritius Prime Minister. Global Center for Traditional Medicine will be the first and only center for traditional medicine across the world and will emerge as an international hub of global wellness.
It's a new beginning in the field of Indian traditional medicines like Ayurveda, homeopathy, naturopathy and Unani. The foundation of World Health Organization Global Center for Traditional Medicine was laid in Jamnagar with an objective to harness the capability of traditional medicine by combining it with technological advancements and evidence-based research. It will also open the door of age of traditional medicine in the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called India's traditional medicine system a holistic science of life.
ये ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन के क्षेत्र में भारत के कंट्रीब्यूशन और भारत के पोटेंशियल दोनों का सम्मान है। भारत इस पार्टनरशिप को पूरी मानवता की सेवा के लिए बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी के रूप में ले रहा है। ये सेंटर दुनिया भर में फैली पारंपरिक चिकित्सा से सहयोग से दुनिया के लोगों को बेहतर मेडिकल सॉल्यूशन देने में मदद करेगा।
Prime Ministers of South Asian countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal also attended the inauguration ceremony via video conferencing.
Global Center for
In a video message, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina appreciated the efforts of Government of India in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic and achieving massive vaccination coverage. Meanwhile, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who was present at the ceremony, said the center will help in evidence-based research for traditional medicine.
The WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine that we are launching will help to harness the power of science to strengthen the evidence base for traditional medicine. This is a truly global project. 107 WHO member states have national governmental offices for traditional and complementary medicine. So this means India will go to the world and the whole world will come to India.
The World Health Organization Global Center for Traditional Medicine will be the first and only global outpost center for traditional medicine from across the world. It will arise as an international hub of global wellness in the coming years.
Moving on to Sri Lanka, where the island nation is grappling with unprecedented economic turmoil, with protesters taking to the streets dealing with shortages and soaring inflation. Despite the demand over the resignation of Rajpaksas, the cabinet has been expanded with new ministers. Take a look.
People in Sri Lanka continue to hit the streets to call for Rajpaksa to step down, venting their anger at soaring inflation and constant power cuts caused by the spiraling economic crisis. Amid ongoing remonstrations demanding the government ouster over its alleged failure to address the worst economic crisis, Sri Lanka President Gotabaya Rajapaksa appointed a new cabinet with 17 new ministers. The president's elder brother Mahinda Rajapaksa, however, remains the prime minister. Only 5 members of the previous cabinet were sworn in again, while most of the other portfolios were allocated to members of the ruling party.
අද පවතින මේ අර්බුදය ඒ ජනතාව ඉල්ලපු මේ සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එක කරන්න හොඳ අවස්ථාවක්. තමුන්නාන්සලට ඒ අවස්ථාව ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒකම මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ තරුණයන්ගෙන් ඒට උපකාර කරන්නට කියලා.
Supporters of the opposition National People's Power Party began a 3-day 57-kilometer miles march from the southern city of Biruvalla to Sri Lanka's commercial capital Colombo, protesting against the government handling of a devastating economic crisis. Demonstrations have raged across the country for weeks as people angered by prolonged power cuts and shortages of fuel and medicines have been demanding President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation.
රට පුරා විශේෂම ගෝල් පේස් පිටියේ මෙතෙක් ලංකාවේ උද්ඝෝෂවලට සම්බන්ධ නොවුණු විශාල පිරිසක් තමගේ වේදනාව තමගේ පීඩනය ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරමින් තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා දැන් අපි කළ යුතු වන්නේ විරෝධයෙන් එහාට ගිහිල්ලා මේ රටේ ආර්ථික සංවර්ධනයත් නීති විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍යයත් වංචාවෙන් දූෂණයෙන් තොර ආණ්ඩුවකුත් වංචාවෙන් දූෂණය කරන ලද දීපල පවර ගන්න ආණ්ඩුවකුත් වංචනිකයන්ට දූෂණයට දඬුවම් දෙන ආණ්ඩුවකුත් අපි ගොඩනගා ගත යුතුයි. ඒ නිසා ජාතික ජන බලවේගයේ ඒ සඳහා පුළුල්තම වේදිකාව හදලා තිබෙනවා.
The financial crisis has also darkened murky waters of Sri Lanka, where fishermen are facing difficulties in covering their expenses. The crisis has grounded at least half the area's trawler fleet. Fishermen struggle to stay afloat as people deal with skyrocketing prices, prolonged power cuts, and shortages of medicine, fuel, and other items.
දැන් අවුල දින 40යි. එතකොට දැන් දවස් ඉස්සර 40ට වැඩි දැන් ඊළඟ වෙලා ඇති ගෙවල් වල. ඊසල් කවදා වුණේද ඉතින් ණය වෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ පොලි අරන් ඉතින් මිනිස්සු මේ අසරණ වෙන ගොඩක් මේ ලංකාවේ ජීවත් වෙන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක් තමයි එන්නේ.
The current financial situation in Sri Lanka has pushed Sri Lankan officials to meet with the International Monetary Fund to discuss an emergency loan program to tackle the shortages of fuel and other essentials. The IMF said the discussions were at an early stage and any deal would require adequate assurances that Sri Lanka could resolve its unsustainable debt situation.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
A Malaysian smart farming services provider is collaborating with China's Alibaba Cloud to improve crop yields for country's durian farmers using the Internet of Things and big data analytics to boost productivity and even the quality of the fruit among the other crops. It seems like a regular durian farm from above, while in fact a number of features set it apart from others, like a highly automated hub for combining fertilizer application and irrigation, along with metal boxes dotted among the trees. Malaysia's Regal Tech specializes in smart farming solutions powered by cloud computing company Alibaba Cloud, a subsidiary of Chinese tech giant Alibaba Group. The ground sensor itself uses the Internet of Things and transmits wirelessly to the Alibaba Cloud, which has a ready-made infrastructure from the LOT to big data. Different locations will be given different amounts of nutrients and moisture based on what they require. 24-year-old Syrian woman Hiba Zain spends a lot of time in her car during the holy month of Ramadan collecting iftar meals from charities and delivering them to those in need. Rising fuel and transportation costs in Syria prompted her to take up the initiative, as many families in the city of Katana in the Damascus countryside cannot afford to get to charities. While the media student used to collect food packages from individuals, she later on headed to charities after noticing that the number of those in need is high. The number of people in need of assistance in Syria reached 14.6 million in 2021, a 1.2 million increase from 2020, the United Nations says. Extreme poverty is estimated at almost two-thirds of the roughly 18 million people living in Syria today. By 2024, the spacecraft Orion developed by Lockheed Martin will bring humans to the moon in NASA's Artemis program. The System Invariance Analysis technology, one of the NEC's artificial intelligence technologies, will perform in checks to ensure the spacecraft. It is tested and operating properly during the production phase.
Right now our focus has been the assembly, test, launch operations, and some of that includes the space environment tests, where we can analyze how that spacecraft will function in the environment. It gives us this wonderful, holistic view of the system and an understanding that we have not been able to analyze or view in this way in the past. If you were to ask a human to do that same task, one person, it would take them 240 years. SciAp does it very quickly, say within an hour.
NEC and Lockheed Martin are developing new space technology through artificial intelligence. In the era of carbon neutral, Idemitsu Kosan is trying to develop new industrial field. The company has rich experience of chemical high-level fiber material field. Its original material is SPS, that is syntactic polystyrene, which is industrialized in 1997, world first. SPS has the strong points of heating resisting, electric characteristics and chemical resistant.
一般的な汎用のプラスチックのがありまして、それの結晶性にさせたものになります。もともとの汎用のポリスチレンに比べますと、結晶構造を持つということで、融点を持ちます。けどもその融点が275度ということで非常に高い温度で溶けるという材料に変わります。ということで耐熱性の高い樹脂ということで、1985年に出光興産の当時の中央研究所で合成がなされたという材料です。現在その使われているスーパーエンジニアリングプラスチックっていうその耐熱の高い樹脂のグループがありまして、産業だとか家電だとか日用品、あるいは自動車の部品、そういったところの用途に使ってもらうと。電子レンジのいわゆるマイクロウェーブを透過させてしまうという特性が材料側にありまして、こういうものを食材を中に入れて、で電子レンジでチンするときに中のものだけが温まって周りの容器は冷たいままというこういう電子レンジ容器にも、一般的なところでは使われているということです。工場の食堂で使われる箸、もともと割り箸だったんですけども、それが今プラスチックに変わっております。中でも SPS が、耐火成分化性が高いということと薬品性に強いということから、この材料がこの樹脂箸として使われていると。ビジネスのメインのところはやはり車の部品です。電気で物と物をつないでいくコネクターと、でそのコネクターの、材料として非常に SPS は世界的にも実績が上がっていますし、それから認知度も上がってきている。
A factory to produce SPS is under construction in Japan's Chiba prefecture. In 2022, a new factory in Malaysia will be launched targeting export to Asia, Middle East and Europe. Idemitsu Kosan is developing technologies to reduce the harmful effects of carbon. For that, SPS could be transformed into various products to enrich lives. The Himalayan nation Nepal has decided to deliver support to World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus for the second term. Addressing the media post the meeting with WHO Director in capital Kathmandu, Nepal's Health Minister Birod Khatiwada informed that Nepal would support incumbent for the second term. Minister Khatiwada thanked the WHO chief for providing various assistances to Government of Nepal in addressing the health needs of the Nepali people. He added Nepal needed cooperation from the WHO in the areas of quality control and access to medicines, advanced laboratories, regulatory capacity, human resource development, technology transfer, and medical research and diagnosis, among others. Dr. Ghebreyesus, Director General of WHO, arrived in Kathmandu on an official visit. He is accompanied by Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director WHO Southeast Asia Regional Office, and other officials of WHO.
Moving on to Gilgit Baltistan, where the job seekers took to the streets and shouted slogans after their interview cancellation in front of the residence of Chief Justice Arshad Hussain Shah, and urged the Supreme Appellate Court to take suo motu cognizance of the issue. They also demanded immediate rollback of the decisions. We have a report.
This group of protesting people comprises candidates who had their interview dates lined up for their jobs with the government's Water and Power Department, but one arbitrary call from the Chief Secretary has turned their lives upside down. It is not just that their interviews have been cancelled, but their future has been thrown in jeopardy with no alternative plan of action in future assured or suggested. They gathered in front of the residence of Chief Justice Arshad Hussain Shah and urged the Supreme Appellate Court to take suo motu cognizance of the issue. And while shouting slogans against the Chief Secretary, they demanded immediate rollback of the decision.
इंसाफ की तवक्कु है। इससे पहले भी हमने सुप्रीम एपीलेट कोर्ट में ही केस दायर करके इन जो रुके हुए असामियों के उनके ऊपर दोबारा से इंटरव्यू हुआ था, लेकिन अब फिर वही चीफ सेक्रेटरी की वजह से ये रुक गया है। हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि सुप्रीम एपीलेट कोर्ट की जो जजेस साहिबान हैं वो दोबारा इसके ऊपर सुमोटो एक्शन लेके ये जल्द अज जल्द इस काम को दोबारा शुरू करेंगे।
The decision to invalidate the entire recruitment process came in the immediate backdrop of change in the government in Islamabad after Imran Khan was ousted in a midnight no-confidence motion last week. The candidates, however, say that they have nothing to do with politics and they should not be made victims of any political rivalry.
हम ये तो नहीं जानते कि ये वफाक की तरफ से है या सूबाई हुकूमत की तरफ से, लेकिन जिसकी तरफ से ये है हमारे लिए तो नाइंसाफ़ी है। हम किसी की तरफदारी नहीं करते, ना पीडीएम की तरफदारी करते हैं ना पीटीआई की, लेकिन हमारे लिए हमारा जो मुतालिबा है वो हल होना चाहिए, वो वफाक की तरफ से हो या हम किसी की वो ना हिमायत करते हैं ना मुखालिफत करते हैं।
A discrimination or injustice of this nature is not unprecedented for the people of Gilgit Baltistan. Their rights have always been trampled upon by the state in one form or the other. The region has been marred by high inflation and higher unemployment rate, but that has not just been enough for the authorities to tone down their suppressive attitude towards the people of this region.
Let's move to India, where today we will take you to soak in the festivities of one of the biggest celebrations in Madurai city of Tamil Nadu state. Reenacting the wedding of Lord Sundareshwar and Goddess Meenakshi, the 15th festival is celebrated in Madurai temple with great enthusiasm. Have a look.
Every year in the Tamil month of Chaitra, that usually falls in April and May, Madurai pulls a sea of devotees as the city's Meenakshi Amman temple celebrates the annual Chittirai festival. Commemorating the celestial wedding of Goddess Meenakshi, a form of Parvati, and Lord Sundareshwar, a form of Shiva, the festival hosts a number of events that are not just religious but are also interesting to watch. Kodiyatram marks the first event of the entire celebration. In this, Chief Priest of Meenakshi Temple declares the opening of the festival by hoisting the flag, which stays on the flag post till the end of the festival.
The Chitra festival has begun on a very grand note today. After a gap of 2 years, there is enormous public interest to participate in the festival. The flag hoisting or Kodiyatram was held today morning. This will be followed by 11 days of festivities, where each day Lord Sundareshwara and Goddess Meenakshi will be in various forms and will be taking out processions in the streets of Madurai.
Pattabhishekam marks the second event in which Meenakshi Amman is crowned as Queen of Madurai for next 4 months. For this ceremony, the beautifully decorated idols of Goddess Meenakshi and Lord Sundareshwar and his consort Periyavidai are brought to the Arakal Mandapam, which is situated opposite of the Meenakshi Amman Sanctum Sanctorum. A female elephant is also prepared who walks in front of the deities as a part of the custom. Hundreds of devotees as well as tourists assemble in the temple to witness this whole extravaganza.
Wonderful people, a lot of fun in the streets. We've been in the temple and it was beautiful. I never saw something like this in all my life.
It's a very beautiful place and people are so happy and excited. Makes me happy too.
Meenakshi Kalyanam marks the most important event of Chittirai festival. It is the grand wedding celebration of Meenakshi and Sundareshwar in Madurai. The deities are decorated with silk cloth and floral garlands, and nearly 50 priests in the temple perform the puja rituals and special prayers. A day after this event is the Chariot Festival, in which Meenakshi and Sundareshwar, who are now the king and the queen of Madurai, come out to bless the devotees on 2 aesthetically decorated wooden chariots. This ceremony attracts many people to the massy streets of Madurai, where the procession takes place.
2 வருஷமா கொரோனானால ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டோம். வெளியிலே வர முடியாம இருந்தது. இந்த 2 வருஷம் கழிச்சு திருவிழா சித்திர திருவிழா ரொம்ப சிறப்பா நடக்குது. எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் சாமியை பார்க்கிறதுல. நேத்து சாமி பார்த்தோம், மீனாட்சி கல்யாணம் பார்த்தோம், தேரோட்டம் பார்த்தோம், பூப்பழக்கு நைட் பார்த்தோம். ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருந்தது, ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியா.
The procession of Lord Kallagar or Allagar, a form of Lord Vishnu and the brother of Goddess Meenakshi, is another main event of the Chittirai festival. It starts from his temple in Allagar Koil, a village in Madurai, and ends at Ramayar Mandapam on the banks of Vagai river. Amid the journey, devotees also spray scented water at the procession. Legend has it that after realizing he could not attend the marriage, Kallagar returned back from the middle of the Vagai river after giving gifts to his sister Meenakshi. The same is reenacted in the festival by taking back Lord Kallagar to his abode on a floral palanquin. While all other events of Chittirai festival are performed in the south of Vagai river, this is the only one that takes place in the north.
அழகர் வந்திருக்காரு. நான் கொரோனாலாம் ஒழிஞ்சிடும். நான் எல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நடக்கும்.
2 வருஷமா அழகர் வராமல் இருந்தார். ரொம்ப வருத்தமாக இருந்துச்சு. இந்த வருஷம் வந்தது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்குது. அவரோட தங்க குதிரைக்காக எதிர்பார்த்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். அழகர் ஆற்றுல இறங்குறதுக்காக காத்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
Celebration of culture and tradition, Chittirai is one of the longest celebration of Tamil Nadu. People dressed in traditional attire and traditional art forms are quite common during this festival. Some devotees even do 1 month of fasting to take part in the rituals and pull the chariot in procession.
for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.